All right, welcome back. Part 2, Eco. Let's do this. What are we talking about? Where are we going? What rabbit hole?
I think we're going to talk about some of the government features in the game.
We haven't really got into that. It's a hell of a thing.
We still get to ratify a constitution.
I put my name down somewhere, somehow.
We should probably ratify the constitution.
Well, I feel before we ratify the constitution, it would probably be a little important to finish putting out all of the government buildings, since they all seem to interact with the actual constitution itself. Because I looked into it a little bit the other day. It was the same day that you had mentioned seeing Guffs' name on the Constitution somewhere. I went and took a look at that, and
I don't know how I did it, but I was the first signer.
I don't know
either. I was just clicking buttons, and all of a sudden, I'm like, ooh.
Yep. Yeah, you listed yourself as the executer.
So I left. I just took off right away because I was like, I don't want to get caught, but now my name's there, so I got caught.
That's okay. I took your name off.
Did you? Okay, good.
Yep. Crisis averted. But I noticed while making it, you are actually making amendments for the Constitution as you're putting it all together, and in each part you actually dictate what, say, other branch of the government is responsible for whatever else, and how the voting for that is supposed to work, whether it's instantaneous or if it's a voting based off a specific demographic that you can open it up to. So I want to make sure before we establish the Constitution that we should probably get all of the buildings put up for it that have all the stations running.
So the other thing I was reading about with the Constitution is there's a default Constitution.
Yep.
So if you just leave it at default settings, basically anybody can vote on something, and it requires a majority of the players on the server for it to ratify.
Yes, and that right now that is what everything is set to. Like I said, I removed Guff as the executor of the Constitution, which would have given him the right to enact anything he wanted to.
Default. I didn't even know that. I was just like, oh shit, I fucked up. I better run.
No voting required. Yep.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't do that because I'd have screwed something.
Which something is that's something that we can do, because you can actually make a role for, say, like a treasurer for the government, and you can give whoever is elected for that role, can be done through the ballot system and voting by the community. But then you can give the elected official executor rights for anything treasury related.
Okay.
So it's kind of it's an interesting process.
And I imagine we should preface all this too by saying we're playing on a server with about anywhere from 7 to 10 active players.
Yeah, I would say that's probably what we're down to right now.
Okay. And so there are servers that are like 20s, 30s,
oh, even higher,
hundreds.
Yeah. Some of the YouTube channels that I've looked at when I was doing some research on the game and some information fact finding. Some of these guys were hosting servers that were like 100+ people, and they would run these servers for like 3 to 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. To the point where it was less about, the end objective of destroying the asteroid, but it was more of just a community playing
kind of
a game
for this social construct.
Yes.
Almost. Yeah.
You did say the world was adjustable in size-wise, so...
Oh, yeah.
We're playing for an ideal, what you said, 20 players?
Yeah, our
like
current world size
like,
is set for a minimum of 20 players, and a maximum of, I think it was like 50.
That's ridiculous.
And right now, I think at our prime, we're probably pushing maybe 10 active players at the moment.
I gotta start recruiting more people.
Yeah, we were initially a little higher, but some people don't stick with the game, or they're just not readily available all the time, which is fine.
Yeah. Do you want me to put feelers out and with people that I trust?
Yeah, I mean my general rule with any of the servers that I run is if you can vouch for them being a semi-decent person, they're more than welcome to join the server.
I'm pretty sure I know someone who would be really interested in this and would be a valuable member.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Like I right now the server is, I believe, what did I set it for? I think I set the server for 25 active player slots. And if it needs to be increased, I can increase it. It's not a problem. I can't increase the world size, but like I said, the world size we're on is good for 50 people.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine at some point, whether we die or don't die, the world gets blown up. I imagine if we get enough active players and there's enough interest, even people who are starting a little later, there's nothing wrong with us in 30 days going, hey, let's just keep going, but start over with a little bit bigger world, a little different. That way we're all back on zero footing.
Yep.
We have a little better idea what's going on. Right now, there's still a lot of chaos in the air because, I mean, we think we know what we need to do,
Yep.
and we can read what we need to do.
But it's still our first time playing the game, too.
We still have... I don't think everybody that's playing is underneath the same impression of what we need to do.
I think the other thing, too, is like the objectives menu.
Yep.
We should have people posting in their objectives what they're working towards.
Yeah.
So that way, like I have pottery, mining, glassworking, and smelting in mind.
Yep.
So like if people look at the list of players, they'll see, oh, Javen's gonna go into those things.
Right.
We should probably have everybody post what they're going into, because then before you take a star, you can press see what everybody has. Oh, we don't have 2 of these. Let's go with another one of those.
Well, that's you know, I feel we should use the objective board not for what you're already running, because you can already see that from the specialization menu. I feel
but it's a lot to filter through.
Yes, it is, but it's there. Like, you know, like right now, if I want to go look at masonry, it'll tell me, oh, there's 3 people assigned to masonry right now, and one of them's maxed out levels, and then one's mid and one's very beginner.
Which is funny because nobody wanted it in your test, your quiz. Nobody wanted masonry at all. So I'm going down masonry. Nobody wants that.
I think
log in and everybody wants masonry. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't want masonry anymore.
Point myself are the only masons.
I think so. I was just using hypothetical numbers.
Yeah.
But to where I think what we should do with the objective panel is put the professions and specializations that you intend to go down in the future.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Because
it'll show you who already has a profession, but say I'm intending to take mechanics. It doesn't show that anywhere that I'm intending to do that. So that would actually be a really good idea to put our goals, our intended specializations on there. And then maybe throw in, like, if you're working on a specific project, like on mine.
Like, you need 5 advanced research papers. Maybe.
Yeah, if you need something specific, or if you're working on a construction goal. Like, I mentioned previously, there's the job boards that you can post jobs and your requests and needs on there. But it also wouldn't be a bad idea to use that objective board. Like, I have mine listed on, like, setting up the government building stuff.
That'll also help when we get to the government stuff. We can set up those job boards in town. Can you take jobs from just the menu itself, or do you have to actually go to the board?
I don't know if we actually tried that or not yet.
I don't think we've.
Because I know I looked and I seen it shows all the jobs posted. I'm like, I don't know why I didn't click on find out. Probably because I was just like, I gotta build the house.
Yeah,
but
I was also reading into with the treasury side of things.
Oh God,
that the best way to distribute money to start with is like, so let's say we get a mint and we get treasury going.
Mm-hmm.
Distribute government projects to inject the initial income into the economy.
Yes, because big government is more important than small government.
Honestly,
well, I mean, to be fair, the game was funded by the government to make it. Partially funded, probably not fully, but partially.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Yeah, USDA, I think, partially funded this game to be made so they could watch the studies, which is pretty clever.
Yeah, and also be used as a teaching tool about effects on the environment.
I mean, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean it does have some pretty in depth, ecosystem.
This is not your Minecraft game. Like, there's some similarities. You can dig and you can gather resources. You could build. You could dump resources on the ground, but there's definitely a whole lot more depth to this game than your basic. You think Satisfactory, Factorio, whatever. That's kind of where all that number data. If you're a number head and you just like dirty data, then well, there you are. Yeah. I don't like dirty data, so something basic's pretty easy for me. Yeah. Which there's enough for people in this game. You can just go basic, easy, and you're not hurt.
Let's talk a little bit about pollution.
Oh. Yeah, that's an interesting one, because that's actually a pretty big aspect to this game. Obviously, and hence the name eco. It's about affecting your ecosystem. Anything that you do that would be harmful to the environment creates some type of pollution effect.
Be it debris, air pollution from smog or storages or whatever, and then ground pollution is another one I saw.
Yep. Ground pollution is there as well. So like any type of physical waste product that you can store counts as the ground pollution. I mean, heck, even just cutting down a tree, and leaving the debris, branches and whatnot from that tree counts as a form of ground pollution, and that would be, your ground clutter and debris.
I know I've produced a fair amount of probably the most pollution on the server.
Yeah, probably because you're the miner.
Yeah, I know I have created the most amount of debris on the server.
Yeah, I've cleaned a lot of it up.
Yeah. But to be
can't
fair,
handle it.
you got paid.
I get paid for it. I would have done it without getting paid.
Well, yeah.
But I can't because the territory's locked. So I'm like,
Yeah.
Mike, I need your job. I got to take care of this.
Yeah.
I guess to summarize a few things, if you want to know if this is the right game for you, one of the main things you're going to need is dedication. This is not a game that you can play casually if you have enough people, but if you have a small group of people, you're going to need to be fairly dedicated.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is kind of where we're sitting at. We're a slightly smaller size community, which requires a few pretty dedicated players to keep it running.
Well, I think long term we'll know. Right now, I'm not sure because if you're gonna have mechanics and then that's already like tier 3, right?
4,
tier 4 stuff.
Yeah.
There's only 2 more tiers, right? 6. Is that max?
I think so.
I mean, we're getting there.
So we might have lasers by the end of next week.
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, we could very well.
But then I guess if that happens, we're going to find out where our flaws are in our game.
Yeah.
We're going to probably have all the government stuff figured out. We're not going to. There's a lot of stuff we're not figuring out on the way.
And right now, my biggest fear is that we collapse from the bottom of the pyramid.
Yep.
That there's not enough raw resources being collected and things like that. Like, we are advancing fairly well.
Yep.
And we are unlocking things pretty decent rate. But hopefully the bottom doesn't hollow out and we collapse is my only worry.
I feel like the gathering of raw resources will also improve once some of that technology comes into play as well.
Because our conversion rates will get better.
Yes, the conversion rates will get better. I noticed there are advanced forms of different benches and processing equipment that's available. I noticed that there was a cement kiln, I think, was an option, which I'm sure would probably boost that conversion rate phenomenally. In addition to some of the upgrades that you can put in
we
there.
get asphalt roads.
Yes, there would be that. In addition to that, for just the raw resource collection, there's excavators, and there's skid steers, and
can't wait to get an excavator and pull a mountain down. That's gonna be great.
Yep. And there's cargo trucks in there, so hauling their resources from A to B won't the distance won't be nearly as bad.
Kind of like a mini gold rush show. It'd be great.
Yeah. I'm honestly more curious about what the crane does and how that operates, because it's a full-fledged crane.
Yeah, I wonder if that's interesting.
Right now, I think the biggest upgrade we've had, like the biggest improvement, was at our rocker tables for sorting crushed metal resources. Was reducing the rate of crushed metal resources was needed to make a concentrated metal resource.
Yep.
That was the biggest improvement I've seen.
Yep. And that was just off a couple of upgrades added.
That was level. Yeah, we needed 4 upgrades for the 4 rocker boxes.
Yep. And that'll only improve because the higher we get, the more advanced upgrades we will get. Even to the point where we can make modern and advanced upgrades.
Yeah. The next big thing that I think would be helpful for us as a group would be like I guess like a small tip for those starting out. Don't
listen to anything we're saying.
Yeah, don't listen to anything we're saying. But work towards your basic upgrades fairly early on, because it will make everything you do 40% more efficient at a level 3, which is pretty easy to obtain.
I honestly would say that on top of that, I would say that everybody builds a house efficiently, whether it's follow somebody's pattern, have somebody work on carpentry, because it's all part of this whole grand plan, while building your upgrades, but not working on so much, but everybody having good food, because 80% is a big difference between my 50 and Javen's 30.
Yep.
And probably, Scar's 8, I think she was running at, because she was just literally eating berries and seeds, because she just was too busy cooking, so she didn't want to eat her own food, because she just makes money off it. But if you get that foundation set up, I think, like you said, everything is exponentially piles on
Yeah,
itself.
the faster rate at which everybody gains stars
Right.
is better for the society.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So right now, I think a few people have got it figured out. I think majority of the server probably still doesn't, or can't do anything about it, because one, they're not on when big makers are on. You know, like if Mike's not on, or you're not on, or whoever's not on making the upgrades, there's no way to really keep pushing them to make upgrades. But I think if we restarted at some point, new map, I think everybody should get focused on foundation stuff. That's the basic upgrades. I didn't even know about upgrades until I read about them. Like, oh, I put an upgrade in my little carpentry bench, and it made my hewed boards. It took 3 seconds instead of 5 seconds. I'm like, well, that's it's not really a big difference initially when you're doing 20, but you're doing hundreds, a whole stockpile.
Yep.
Okay, now you times that by 50 or 100 piles. All of a sudden, okay, that makes a big difference. There's a lot of seconds a lot wasted.
Yep.
You upgrade that again, it's down to 2 seconds, down to 1 second. And then you add food to that, and then you got all these XPs going up. So you get your carpentry skill going from 1 to 7 stars, and all of a sudden your 1 second's down to a half a second. You're dun 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 dun. You know, these boards are just basically flying out of the wood chipper.
Yeah, a great example of that is like Mike was making mortared stone.
Yep.
And it cost him 6 normal stone and 4 mortar to make a mortared stone.
Right.
I showed up, and it took like, what, 5 minutes or a minute per stone, something like that?
Yeah, something like that, yep.
But long story short, I put my calories in as a master mason on his workbench, and it reduced the resources he needed by almost 50%.
Right.
Yep.
And it lowered the time by like a third.
Yep.
So
Right.
it was like 24 minutes to make 500 mortared stone,
Right.
which is ridiculous.
I mean,
Yep.
it's never too late to refocus and get back to that as a group.
Mm-hmm.
So those people that are on, that's what you should be doing. But I think that if we all did that from the beginning, and then whatever government stuff we can do to make that even easier, maybe that, I don't know. I don't know if there's a quick answer to the game.
The
I
other
honestly
thing,
don't
too,
know.
that worked out really well was I was putting in all the orders for the smelting,
Yep.
and eventually and having Lundy apply the calories. Well, it's literally half the time if he puts in the order and puts in the calories.
Yep.
So I just have him make all the orders now.
Right.
It's way more efficient.
Yep. You just got to provide him the resources whenever you have to get back on again, which is a nice way to do it. You know, you like, to some degree, you do have to wait for someone else to get on, which is one way. Or like as you're doing with your smelting orders and whatnot, you could just have the person pre-queue for you.
And then you just drop it in a stockpile and it starts processing.
Maybe what we need to do is we need to make videos on how to make, because I look at that order board and I look at making, I'm just like, no, I'm just going to turn around and go the other way. I'll just not deal with that.
Yeah, I didn't mess with that either. The order,
But I think it's really important. I honestly do.
Yes.
And I was looking at the little arrows for the stockpiles, and so when you're taking your carpentry, I did manage to figure that out for my stupid things that I was making, but I'm like, it's so complicated. But I think if you teach somebody how to make it streamlined, I think you could speed run this game.
Yeah, I need to figure
Let's
out the
do it.
bounty board system. I really do.
Yeah, I think Mike's done pretty good with the board. Katie's figured kind of some of the board out.
Yep.
But I was
I'm
like
like,
payment and
holy
escrow
jeez.
and all that. I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah, the first time I
Yo.
seen that, I'm like, oh, okay, I can
Well,
just quit
yeah,
now.
there's-
But it actually count. Okay, so that's part of the deep of the game.
Yep.
When I did the cleanup one time, it said there was 63 debris.
Yep.
I'm like, I cleaned up 63 debris. I had no clue that it was counting how
And
many
like
pieces
2
of
dozen
debris.
stumps.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yep.
it actually counted everything.
Yep.
I'm like, that is just too deep for my brain. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
Yep. And on that same property,
That was
like
crazy.
I've got a clear order to harvest all the trees. You know, and it'll actually not just say how many trees there are, but it'll actually say how many of each individual type
Yeah,
of
it's
tree.
absolutely insanity.
Yep. And the game literally tracks everything. Every entity in the game is tracked.
Yeah.
By some shape or form.
Yeah.
And there's even graphs for it that you can access through the game as well.
Yeah, oh yeah. The complexity of the game is unbelievable. And I think if you can teach people, even your other player, even one other player, if you can sit down and teach the smelter, not that I'm picking on the smelter, but if you can teach the smelter one thing about making things smoother, you know, I think our hunter-gatherer, Fluffy, has actually figured a large portion of that out. He's very efficient at gathering meat. He's very efficient at tailoring. Like, who all needs backpacks and shoes? Everybody's like, yeah. All of a sudden,
Everybody's
20
got
minutes
backpacks
later,
and
he's
shoes.
running around, got dumped backpacks and shoes off for everybody.
Or
I'm
the
like,
iron tools thing.
Right.
Who needs
Yeah.
iron tools? Boom. Everybody's
right. It
iron
was
tools.
just like,
Yeah.
so there's a few people that are getting it. You know, I know I haven't completely got it yet, but that's just because, well, I don't know.
But going back to the board thing, though,
Yeah.
I think it would actually help everybody out
Yeah.
if they start utilizing
Yeah.
job boards.
Yeah, no.
Because, you know, for my point of view, since I'm more or less our server's dedicated logger and carpenter, like
Right.
there are a few other people who have the skills.
Right.
But it would let me know from logging in. I could check the job board panel and show me all the job listings. You know, like, oh, Guff needs,
Right.
you know, 100 boards.
Yeah, if you
know.
look at it, you can see exactly what's
Yeah, then the
needed.
distribution becomes
Yep.
much easier rather
Yes.
than sitting in Discord and be like, "Hey,
Who
can you give me
needs
5
what?
of these?" And then someone's like, "Oh, I need 4 of these," and then you're trying
Yep.
to remember it all, and that could
Now, I would probably be safe to say that part of the reason why we haven't utilized the job board so much is one, the lack of knowledge of how to
Yeah, no,
do
it's
so.
so freaking foreign to us.
Yes,
It's-
which is one aspect of it, but I feel another part of that problem is as of right now we do not have a standard form of currency
Yeah.
that we can use.
that's tough.
Yeah.
It is tough because I have a lot of currency with Katie, but
Yep.
I get some from you too, but I usually do your jobs when I'm running through your forest and can't
Yep.
handle looking at it.
Yeah, and I try to keep my jobs posted, and you know I'm constantly buying any type of wood material or seed. But then also at that same time though, like you might have some of my money,
Yeah.
but now
Does nothing. at
you want to
Javen's
go
place.
buy
Yeah,
some
nothing.
pottery from Javen, you know, or
There's
some
nothing
brick.
there, so I have to work 10 times more.
Yep.
To get more stuff for him.
Yep. Well, like you
like,
know, I've got I think close to $3,000 dollars or whatever the heck you want to call it, coins.
Right.
From
The cook, right?
From the cook,
Yeah, 'cause
you know,
yeah.
because she's got job postings for lumber, and that's literally my job. So I
Right.
just provided a whole bunch of lumber. I've got way more currency than I need, since she's charging, I think it's like $10 per cooked meal,
Yeah.
and I've got like $3,000.
She should be looking at inflation.
That's where
like
that's
in
where
real
the
life here.
pricing guide is really nice.
Yes.
I highly recommend if
Yep.
you're running a small server or just starting out, look at the pricing guides. There's a guy that on Reddit that did a math post and
Yep.
put a spreadsheet up, and it's very well done.
Yep, that's how I've been doing all of my pricing.
lost me
Everything
at
that
math.
I make is the raw material is the price is pulled off this guide that has been created, and all of the finished goods that I sell, you know, like furniture and carts and whatnot. The price calculator for those is actually all factored in from the price of the raw resource. So, you know, if it takes 10 hewn wood and a couple nails or whatever, the price per item of the raw resource equals out to the price of the finished product.
And the other nice thing about doing it that way, basing off a centralized price guide, is like, say you want clay more, you can offer more money for clay.
Yeah, yep.
Like in my scenario, I need clay,
Yep.
so I'm paying better for clay than any other resource because it's my bottleneck right now.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. It's, you know, it's your standard supply and demand. You know, like you have a high demand for said product, so you're willing to pay a little more. But like I mentioned, our current issue is that currency problem.
Yeah.
You know, I've mentioned it to you, Javen, before of my idea on how to maybe solve the currency issue until we get a mint going.
Yep.
And that would be, you know, everybody. So I guess to backtrack a little bit, each player has their own unique currency.
Yeah.
And then they have an unlimited amount of that currency, and that is what is used until somebody creates a mint and creates a backed currency that can be exchanged and used by everybody. Since we don't have a mint, we're all just using our own independent currencies right now.
We
It's
do
all
have
just
somebody
kinda-
working on a mint, which is nice.
Yes, it is nice that we've got at least steps in that direction, and hopefully we'll have a backed currency up and running soon, because I feel that would streamline some of this trading, bartering, and job posting
And
problems.
I think our currency, I don't, we'll have to have the discussion later on of what to back it with, but I don't think we want to back it with the absolute rarest resource.
No,
I think backing it with something like in the intermediate, like not iron, but maybe copper.
maybe, yeah. I know, I kind of agree on that one too, because I could definitely see an issue of not having enough currency to circulate.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you don't want to overinflate the market and you know, overprint your money here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want to have a scarcity of it either, because that would definitely be some problems. But obviously, you know, we don't want to make it wood.
Right,
'Cause
because
that,
anybody
you know,
could chop down a tree
Yeah.
and get currency.
No, let's do wood. That's
Or if
fine.
we do wood, we have the value of wood be placed
higher or whatever.
in proportion to all of the other.
Yep.
You know, like, let's say, we should try to find something on the pricing sheet, let's say, that's worth $1.
Yep.
And back our currency with that.
Yes, I think something, it can't be too rare. It can't be something that you have to have special
Yeah.
to do. Because you can't tell Bob the farmer or Guff the farmer that he can't do it because he can't go mine gold. Well, then I'm never going to have currency. Unless I raise the price of my food to $85.
Or if you
a
do
loaf
the
of bread.
jobs that get you the payout.
Yeah.
In that
I'm
currency.
not farming. I don't have time to do jobs.
Yeah.
Farmers work harder than everybody else.
Yeah.
They will. Well, I'm not a farmer actually anymore. Now I'm just a butcher. So
Well, technically, I'm a tree farmer.
that's true. That's true.
I'm a rock farmer.
Yeah.
And I will say that farming, just from the little bit I started doing, literally, I don't know how somebody's going to farm and be a chef at the same time, because farming is going to be.
I think so.
You want a big scale farm, it's going to take forever.
Oh, I
did 3 little farms.
I
and
should
it's just
throw this out there.
ridiculous.
If you want a profession that's going to be useful, that you can finish the whole profession with minimal stars, I recommend the hunting tree and the tailoring tree.
Yeah, 3 stars.
Because it's 3 stars and you have everything unlocked.
Yeah. which I've already
And
done.
then later on, you can fill in the gap of, like, let's say we need a miller. Well,
Yeah.
you have excess stars.
Yeah.
Feel free to take milling.
And be more of a support role at that
And
point.
the nice thing about taking specifically, like, hunting and tailoring is a lot of the resources trade between the two.
Yeah.
And while you're waiting for your tailoring to finish, you can go hunt.
Yep.
So it's a nice, like, combination.
Yeah, I don't know how Fluffy managed to fall into that so smoothly.
He did a very good job of
Yeah, he
picking
did.
stars.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. I think it was mostly by what was necessary at the time.
Well, because I know
it just worked out
Fluffy
really well.
Wanted to take hunting out the gate, which was great because we needed someone to fill that role. But then, I think it was a case of we needed a tailor.
Yeah, there's
Really
no tailor.
bad.
And
Yeah.
nobody was currently going that road, so Fluffy just went with it.
Well, and I
it
mentioned
fit
to him that maybe he
perfectly.
could use animal hides and tailoring, and he
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
So it worked out really good because he can get his own natural resources to
Yep.
progress his. He doesn't
Yep.
have to rely on anybody to progress his star.
Yep, and both those professions also help everybody else.
Yeah.
Because as being the hunter, like he's providing his own resource for his tailoring, but then he's also providing the cooks with food.
Yeah.
Which further cascades to helping everybody again.
So I highly recommend, like, if you're getting into this game, getting into any server,
Yeah.
spend at least 1 star in a resource collection profession: mining, logging, hunting,
Yeah.
Yep.
gathering, farming.
Don't do it all though, because that's
Yeah.
what I did, and it sucked.
try to
Yeah.
specialize.
Then you get stuck somewhere and you can't go anywhere.
So,
'cause-
like, my specialties are, like, masonry and pottery right now, but my base specialty is mining, and it does correlate to what I am working on, so I can gather my own resources to progress my own XPs.
Yep.
So try to link them up that way if you can. Like, if you're going to be a carpenter, take logging.
Yep.
yeah, it's pretty much that going hand in hand type
But
thing.
if you want to be useful in this game, I definitely recommend taking a resource gathering profession in some degree.
Yeah, they kind of push you that way initially, but I don't somehow I managed to screw that up. I don't know how.
First time experience, it's a new game for everybody, so we're all
I
kinda
think that
blundering through it.
I don't know. It's weird. I don't know.
And if you want to take a deep specialization, your options are, like, cooking and engineering.
Engineering,
Yeah,
too
yeah.
deep. They go
Like
way
I'm
down the rabbit
I'm going
hole.
the engineering route, starting off with logging to carpentry and then jumping down basic engineering, which further goes off into mechanics, electrical, there's a few other in there that I can't name off the top of my head.
No, that's because
But I want to say it's like a 5 different specialization profession to go down.
Yeah, masonry's 5 as well.
Yeah. I want to say probably masonry and engineering will probably be the most, extensive professions.
Yeah, the single most 6 stars is cooking.
Okay, so yeah.
crazy. But
Yeah.
I'm not-
And there's so many secondary professions to cooking. Like, cooking is by far, like, if you're gonna go cooking, you got to be pretty goddamn dedicated because there's a lot to work on.
There's a lot to work on because you could go. Well, it's the only one that's if there's a tier 7, that's the last one. It's the cutting edge cooking. There's nothing after that. I don't even know what that means. Like, what does that mean? We like Guess we'll find out someday. Who knows?
We'll get sushi rolls eventually.
Yeah. I want to say those are probably in there somewhere. You know, the fact that there's fish and there's rice, there's probably going to be sushi rolls.
Maybe it'll be
somewhere.
the 3D printing meat.
I've made
something.
chopped urchin already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I do know like there's urchins and there's clams and stuff in there, so I know there's got to be recipes for those to pop up here.
And in general, it's probably a good thing that, like we harvest, and rather than harvesting 20 deer, we harvest 5 urchins, 5 clams, 5 deer, and 5 bison. Like it's probably better for the ecosystem in general that we harvest a small amount of each resource rather than one large amount of one resource.
Yeah, it's funny how that works because like you just mentioned, which is a good point. Like it's better for the ecosystem, but then you also have every player has their own individual tastes, which kind of factors into the whole like. It also helps prevent you from over hunting, say the deer, because half your server might think the deer is disgusting, and they want fish instead. They want to go eat a shark. Yeah. So, which is sadly the boat that I'm in.
I guess in conclusion, let's wrap it up. We're getting well over 30 minutes here.
Oh, that's terrible.
Mike, what would you say are like the most important things
that we know so far?
What would you sum up the most important thing? Like someone starting out this game, what should they try to do?
I would say just try to pick something that can be mildly self-proficient by itself. Take a gathering resource, and if that's not the only thing you want to do, if you want to have something that produces a product, make sure you take a skill that works with whatever gathering you decide to choose. If you went with just basic gathering, then maybe pick one of the cooking options. If you took mining, look at either the masonry skill or whatever else that might go with mining down the road, like smelting even. If you want to do carpentry, take logging then.
Right.
Guff, what would you recommend?
Don't play the game. It's too complicated.
Okay.
No. I don't know. Get your groundwork. I think it's like any other game I've ever played that is deep. You have to put the work in at the beginning before you get the rewards. And it may seem like initially, say like we started off and everybody started off racing to the end. But you can't race to the end of this game, so why try to get to the end initially, since we have 30 days left or so? I think that if you just turtle down, it's like playing an RTS or something, or any kind of game that's not a first-person shooter. Just turtle down, do the work ahead of time. It'll pay off in the long run. That would be my and have fun.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good point. The whole don't bother racing ahead. It won't matter.
No,
I at one point I was probably the farthest along in my profession, and that was carpentry.
Yeah, and nobody can help you. There's nobody on the server that can do anything for you at that point.
In order to use my skill, which was the highest, progressed at the time, I needed a assault table.
Yeah.
Well, nobody on the server could provide the resources for me to make a assault table.
Yeah.
So I bottlenecked myself. So really do just take that time to, like you said, get a good foundation, get your base all fleshed out and what you want to do and what direction you want to go.
Yeah.
And I guess my biggest tip would be, as a server, set your expectations as a community and provide communication between players.
What he really means is listen to him and do what you're told.
No.
I'm just messing.
No, good communication is definitely.
Yeah, no, that's important. Yep. Alrighty, well, I guess that will be that. We'll do a follow-up when we get a little farther along in the game. Right now, I think we're 6 days in. Seems like we're a lot longer in, but we're not. We're still barely new. We still see the big asteroid floating over and tells us we have 41 days. No, I think it's 38 days now or something
We'll
like that.
give you an update when we blast the asteroid out of the sky.
All right, until next time.